then there was, sort of politics and a terrible war that happened in Kosovo and all of former Yugoslavia. That scene is opposite my family's home, this scene, and this is the same scene after the war. So the whole of the facade of the shop, the mosque, everything's blown up. And when I went out with NATO troops as a translator, I was all set to do some form of artwork, but I had no idea what that artwork would be. So I just went in, this is my method, I just went in with a completely clear mind, tried to be clear, and a sketchbook, and then just made notes, listened to people, hanged about, and just see what's going on and what was coming through my personality into my sketchbook. And then I'd do a shoot and keep taking pictures. So obviously you'd see a lot of ruined buildings, and this building fell down the next day. So things were just things. This is a library, a 500-year-old library. All the books burnt, and the facade then fell down the next day after this picture, a few days after liberation of Kosovo, after the war. Schools were burnt. So I just started taking pictures of all the destruction and not knowing. It just looked like the usual documentary photograph, documenting. And then I noticed people were clearing their land, and there was some kind of positive and hope from when a war is over and a place is liberated. At the same time, I took sketches and drawings. And the reason I did this again was to get that free thinking, to decide what it is that I want from it. Maybe my subconscious could tell me in my sketchbook. And the other reason was that I used chemical films, so I didn't have the results. I'd shoot a film, not like today when you've got the digital camera. I'd shoot a film, and then I'd draw what I might have got to kind of see my body of work in my sketchbook before I'd develop the films. Here, a family's house is ruined in the background, and they hid a lot of their jewellery and important documents in the beeswax, because they thought as the places were ransacked and burned and things were stolen by the aggressor, they thought that they wouldn't look at the bees. And it was true. They saved a lot of their family objects within the bees' hives, and the bees had started to make honey on them. So it's just in war, it's these small details, beautiful details sometimes, that come out at you. And animals as well. Animals were killed and put down wells so that they would poison the water, and that would ruin the village because the water would be poisoned. But one duck had managed to have 11 ducklings, and after the war, after the bombing, it had just emerged back at the village, and this village suddenly had 11 ducks. I think they were geese actually, that were alive. So it was like in this devastation, there were 11 beautiful white things. So I would be drawing them in my sketchbook and then looking for them in reality, see how I can set things up. This man had come back from the war, he'd taken his horse with him across the border, and so it was saved. And it found his car didn't work. So what do? Chop it in half and carry on. So it was that kind of incredible thing about the human spirit, that even in devastation people will pull themselves together, and that's the thing that I chose to focus on and started to develop just after the war. And haystacks, again, anything that you've touched on earlier. So this was done 10 years earlier. I'd done the haystacks, and then, and this is just after the war, people would come back and make haystacks. All the haystacks were burned. So you'd never find an old haystack in Kosovo. They were all burned. So if you see a new one, that means the villager, he's come home, he's not done his own house, he's built a haystack. And that was a symbol. It became a symbol of, positivity and coming back and starting again on the land. So before they even built the houses or the sheds, they put the haystack up, got that as much hay as they could ready for the winter to carry on. recycling bricks. Okay, your house is smashed, so let's get the bricks that you can use and build another house. So in this, you know, hardship, I found this optimism, and from my own personality, that's what I chose to focus on. And again, with my background as well in art, I mean, this looked like Picasso had done it. It was just fabulous. This boy in a refugee camp, his older brothers had made him this makeshift bike, and he wouldn't sell it to me no matter what I said, because it's just a fabulous way of how human beings just get by in adversity and make things.